So yeah, I work in a creator economy. I create content, I write blogs and all this stuff, and I make a pretty good living in this economy. But I'm not under the illusion that it doesn't have its problems. Hi, thanks for joining me. I really appreciate you stopping in and take a look at this video. And today we're going to talk a little bit about what I think the future of the creator economy is. Now, I live in Texas. I was born and raised here in Texas, South Texas specifically. And the truth of the matter is the creator economy opens up the doors for a lot of people to do a lot of great things. But on the flip side of that, you have to understand that the creator economy has created a lot of, I'm not going to say completely bad actors, but a lot of people out there who are doing bad things to good people. And they're making millions of dollars off of the people who are doing the work. And they're not sharing that revenue properly with those people. I'll give you a case in point. I just recently talked about this in my newsletter, which you can certainly sign up for. I would really appreciate it if you did. It's totally free. But one of the interesting things about this, I used the popular blogging platform medium.com as an example of this. Okay, so Medium claims that they pay out about $2 million per month to creators, to people who want to blog. Now that's good and great. Okay, the average person on Medium, I think, makes around $100 extra a month, hardly worth your time. Even if you're trying to go out and use it as a second income or something like this, right? But here's the thing. What they're doing is medium.com is this system that's set up basically to encourage people who have this idea, I want to be a writer. I've always wanted to be a writer. I've always wanted to do this. I think I could do it. So you sign up and you create an account. You pay this optional membership fee to enroll in this partner program, as they call it. And it's like $5 a month or something like this to get into it so you can monetize your stories. Many times on the medium.com platform, you don't even make your $5 a month back. Of course not. Why would they want you to? Because the only way that Medium can really make money is off of the people who are paying this $5 fee. Okay? So it's not in their best interest for you to get a return on your investment. Now, if you were paying $5 a month is like a union due or something like this, to get some sort of return on the investment, to get a practical return on this, listen to me, writing every day is not the answer. I hear people say this all the time. Write every day, write every day. That's not the answer. Because the answer lies much deeper than just that. Here's a reality of this. Either you have a talent for it or you don't. And it's fine if you don't. But what you need to focus more on is finding what your talent is. It's not that you need to go out there and just say, I've always wanted to be a writer. I think I could be a writer. I'm going to try to be a writer today. Well, that's good and great. Try to be a writer. Try to discover what your talent is. Maybe your talent is really photography. Maybe your talent is painting. Maybe your talent is cooking. Maybe your talent is talking to people. Instead of just saying, I want to be a writer, I'm going to write every day and contribute to this content platform of medium.com or Substack or whatever it is, maybe you should try to focus on what your talent is. Focus that energy on trying to figure out what this is. It may or may not be writing. It could be anything. That's where I think people are making the mistake. And that's also where I think that companies like medium.com are taking advantage of people. Okay, so to go back to this, now we don't know exactly how much money medium.com is putting out there. They say it's somewhere around $2 million a month. I have my doubts that they're really putting out that much money because they still have to make a profit. And I think the CEO of the company is probably just using his skills as a self-promoter to talk more mess about this. But I think that what we're seeing here is a situation, and I don't mean to single medium.com out of this. I think there's many platforms out there, and YouTube is certainly one of them, that leads people to believe this false sense of idea that they can do anything they want whenever they want to do it. I'm going to break this down to you. The truth is you can try anything you want, and you can do anything you want, and you can be anything you want. It doesn't necessarily mean you should do it. That's the hard fact about it. Okay? So the truth is, if you're out there not ever knowing what your true talent is, what you're truly good at, then what are you really doing? You're selling yourself short. That's what you're doing. You're not buying into this idea of what it truly means to be yourself. And these companies like medium.com and Substack and YouTube and these countless other platforms are using that to their advantage. You might be wondering how so? Well, because it's a numbers game. Okay, every great once in a while, one or two people are going to take off, and they're going to just make a lot of videos. Their content's going to go viral. People are going to love it, right? But the reality of it is most people don't. And I think there's a lot of people out there who are investing not just money, but investing very valuable time into these platforms. And these platforms benefit because they get a lot of content. They can say that they have X number of active users or something like this on the platform. And they can justify this to continue justifying investment from their stakeholders and shareholders. But who ends up coming out on the short end of the stick? You do. As a creator, you end up coming out on the short end of the stick. What I'm saying is there's nothing equitable in this system. The companies are winning by sheer volume and sheer numbers game. Now, we know that medium.com struggled, because we're using Medium as the example here. We know that Medium has struggled for many, many years financially. Now they're starting to say, look, let's just open the waters up. Let's open the floodgates up to whoever wants to come in can do it. They can participate. Okay, people in other countries where $10 a month USD could be a game changer for them. But if I'm here in the US market, which is where most of the people operate, right? It's where Medium operates. They're in San Francisco, one of the most expensive markets in America. They need a lot of money to operate. So what they do is they convince these people to pitch in more content, pitch in more money, get more people into the system. Look, the sheer common sense of the medium.com model is telling you that you're going to lose. Okay, so if every creator, every person pitched in $5, and a lot of these people don't even create content. What they do is they just read content, and that's very good for Medium because they can give, a half a cent, 1 cent, whatever to the creators while people are just reading it. But at the end of the day, you have to look at this. Is Medium paying out anywhere near what the creators are giving them? And then another problem with this is distribution. And we've talked about this before. Distribution is a very important aspect of this whole thing. And if you're not able to fully distribute your content to people who want to read your content, what do you have? Now, I'm a journalist. I've worked in the media business for almost 20 years now. Just like the music industry, the key to this is distribution. Medium.com has no external distribution models, okay? Substack does very, very little to help you promote your newsletter or whatever the case may be. Very few of these companies have what we call distribution models. And that's where they're failing, because they know that most of the content that ends up on here is very subpar. When you just open up the floodgates to whoever wants to come into this thing, whoever wants to try their hand at being a writer, you're taking away something that's very valuable to the system. It's called exclusivity. Now, if you take away the exclusivity of this and you open it up to just the mass market, that devalues all of the content, right? That devalues whatever it is. Formula One is becoming very successful because Formula One is an exclusive sport. It was always kind of seen that way. Luxury brands. The reason they're such a luxury brand is because they're kind of exclusive. It takes a lot to get them. When you build in some exclusivity, you create floodgates, you create gatekeepers, right? Believe it or not, as much as we complain about the gatekeepers, they were useful. And the gatekeepers kept out a lot of people who were novice. And a lot of people who said, you know what, I'm going to try this for a month. Maybe I can be a writer too. The gatekeepers had a way of filtering that out. The key point is not to say don't try it, because you don't know. It may very well be your niche, right? It may very well be your talent. You don't know until you try. But the psychology of these big companies is to keep you trying until you can't try anymore, until you're just frustrated. And that leads us into a much bigger discussion about the mental health of the creative and how these companies out there are really benefiting from this, giving very, very little in return to most people. And the people who are trying it, the creatives, are suffering mentally. So this is the conversation. This is the big conversation that we're having here. And when I say I'm just a guy on the internet spouting things off, everything that I do here has a little bit of sense to it. Everything that I do here has a little bit of thought process. I put a lot of research into this. I'm going to link over onto my newsletter. It's totally free for you. It's completely free. You can go on there and read it all you want. And you can get these things sent to your inbox every single couple of days, whatever it is. And what I do is I send these insights to you about different things that I see, right? Okay, I was blessed to be, I guess, a pretty good writer, a pretty good researcher, a pretty good communicator, right? This is my talent, okay? It took me many years to figure out that this was my talent, right? Many years of trial and error. I wanted to be a painter. I wanted to be a musician, but I learned that I couldn't play a lick of music. What I'm doing here is sharing this stuff with you the best way that I possibly can. I want you to be able to find your own talent. I want you to be able to see the world from a different perspective. That's why I do this YouTube channel. That's why I do the newsletter. I really appreciate it. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share. All of this really helps with the algorithm, but I want us to be able to have a logical conversation about very important things. And if anybody from Medium.com wants to debate me on this, if anybody from any of the tech companies want to debate me on how they're actually helping people improve their lives, or how they're giving back to the community, Tony, I would love to debate you on this. I'd love to have a conversation with you. I don't think you've got the guts to face the people other than just put out your propaganda or go on a few Tech Bro podcasts. And I'm calling him out on this. Totally. Because he won't come out and face man to man. He doesn't have the guts. So this is what I'm saying. These people like Medium.com and even Substack to some extent, and YouTube to another extent, are taking advantage of people. And that's not good for anyone.